Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Business is War podcast, and today I am fortunate enough to have Iam Tucker from New Orleans, Louisiana. She's a civil engineer, and amongst many things, she's an entrepreneur in Business is War. And so today we would like to discuss and dive deep into many of the things that she's dealing with in her own personal journey and in her own career. So let's do it, and welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Business is war.
Business is war, baby.
And you know, for the novice that doesn't understand exactly what that is, when I say that, it's really a mantra. It really means that there are so many things that are happening under the covers that people don't really see, that happen for business owners and entrepreneurs like myself. We don't get watches, we don't get ink pens, we don't get plaques or pledges, we don't even
get a toaster, man.
We don't get our flowers. I say all that to segue to what's the state of the union for you, and how are you doing today?
So the state of the union and the state of our union right now in the world that we live in is untethered.
Yeah.
This is the most uncertain time that I've ever seen in business, and we've made it through Hurricane Katrina.
Yes.
All these hurricanes, all these storms of every sense, right?
Yeah.
And the attack, black businesses have always been under attack.
Yes, they have.
Right? And minority businesses have always been under attack, but now it is a deeper, more strategic, more stealthy, and honestly, more public at the same time attack.
So tell us a little bit about your firm and exactly what you do.
Absolutely. So I own and operate a civil engineering firm. I'm not a civil engineer myself. Mm-hmm. I'm a second generation business owner. The name of my firm is Integrated Logistical Support Incorporated. Mm-hmm. Moniker is ILSI Engineering. We are primarily government contractors, but we also do a good bit of private sector work. We're trying to grow that repertoire, especially now, right?
Now, honestly, is there a lot of work out there?
There was. There was. We're domiciled in New Orleans, but, we do work with quasi-state agencies. We do work with the federal government. We have contracts in San Francisco with the Army Corps of Engineers. We have contracts with the Navy. We have several federal contracts as well, but the work is not coming out like it used to. Mm-hmm. The federal government going through whatever these cuts are, and the federal government and the leader of the free world who's trying to run government like a business.
Right.
And that's not how government works.
We're going to talk about that in a minute, but let me ask you this. Is AI coming for the civil engineering work?
It's a scary thought, and I do believe that AI technology is getting more and more entrenched into our industry. I think that there are ways to work with it. You're always going to need engineers to come back and check what you're doing. You're not building a bridge off of AI and trusting on that, right? Civil engineering is about more than that. It's about the nuance of a quarter inch at a time. If we're talking about rail projects, we're talking about water projects, we're talking about engineers that have to go to a site, look at what they're doing, look at what they need to design, look at the needs of the client, and that's some things that AI really just can't completely take on.
Okay, so that means your industry is not AI bulletproof, but
no.
Yet and still, you do feel some of the implications of AI coming to your industry.
Absolutely. I think that the biggest part in my industry has been the efficiencies that AI allows.
Okay.
Right? And so we're trying to constantly find ways, especially as a small firm, to keep up with that. We're never going to be able to have some, meta, multi-million-dollar software program that can do something. But what we can do is the nitty-gritty, real engineering work where we are.
Okay.
We also understand the importance of being of service and of value in the communities that we touch and impact.
Well, let's talk about that. So I come from an athletic background. I used to be a boxer. I used to play basketball like my life depended on it. I wanted to be Isaiah Thomas. I wore number 11 in high school.
Okay.
And my other first love was music. I don't think I've ever been introduced to an engineer at a high level, in all the time that I can remember.
Yeah.
So how do you identify a person to be an engineer, and what do they do at an engineering firm like yours here in New Orleans?
Great question. So I always like to back up a little bit. So a lot of people don't understand. People see construction companies. You see a building being built, and you know what that is.
Yes.
For us, if we're designing streets or waterways or sewer lines, it's the things that you don't see that you only remember when it breaks.
That's why I'm saying you need your flowers, because we just don't know. Nobody likes a plumber until the toilet don't work and the whole house is flooded.
Absolutely.
You know? Okay, so tell me more about this engineering.
So let's say we're designing a street.
Okay.
Right? I locate my engineers in a lot of different various ways. It's very difficult to find engineers these days. But I find myself interviewing more engineers that have maybe worked in certain places, that have their expertise, that are trying to gain a little bit more expertise. Maybe they've worked in water and they want to learn streets. Maybe we don't mind training people up into what they're doing as long as we know that they are very technically sound. Mm-hmm. The other part is, at my company, we're a company of 48 people. We're probably the most diverse engineering firm in New Orleans, if not in the entire South.
Now, is it man heavy? Meaning that, let's be honest.
The industry is man heavy.
I went to a college graduation recently, and I watched 99% of women graduate with maybe 1-2 straggler dudes. And so when then someone said to me, "Oh, we'll just go to the engineering college because it's all the other way around." Is that the case?
It's true, and actually, there are statistics that show that women, they might start in that major in that industry in college, and they don't feel accepted by their peers. They feel pushed out. And if you're not a woman that's kind of like me, I was raised playing sports too.
Yes.
People might call me a ball breaker. I don't care what you call me. I was a tomboy. I understand team sports and I understand team. And sometimes your team don't look like you. Sometimes it does. I was a police officer in Baton Rouge before that. I was on a squad of all men. The only other woman on my squad there was two, my sergeant and my lieutenant. And so I understand working with anyone I need to work with in order to get the ball down the field, in order to understand where we're going. And so I think that I build teams based on, I don't care what you look like. I care about your qualifications. And there's a lot of other large companies around here that I think there's some inherent bias that happens. And so at my small company, we're 48 people. We probably speak about 6 or 7 different languages, because I am willing to understand and look at people for their resume and see their value in a different way.
Gotcha.
And I'm proud of that with my company.
Listen, that says a lot about you. That's a core value. I appreciate that. I try to have some of the same similar thoughts about when I'm looking to bring people on board and what their qualifications are and what they bring to the team. Mm-hmm. And if you're trainable, if you're coachable, I can find a spot for you. Absolutely. It might be in the corner in the back, but damn it, get there until you can move up on the bus. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So having said that, how hard has human resources been for you as a business owner?
It's been harder lately. It's been really, really hard, actually. In the past 5 years, I'm born and raised in New Orleans. We're domiciled here in New Orleans. I want homegrown talent. I want people that can care for their families, and I want to give you a job so you can take care of your family and do that here. It's been extremely difficult to find homegrown talent. I think that some of it has to do with, UNO's losing funding. UNO has one hell of an engineering school. Okay. But the school,
who's the best engineering school in the state right now?
I'm gonna say UNO hands down.
Okay.
But we've had to find talent in other areas and bring them in. And I've been lucky enough to be able to find good talent in other areas. But like you said, there's a lot of qualified resumes that I've gone through, and I've learned we have a mandatory 3-interview process now.
Excellent.
And absolutely, because it's like you said, there's some qualified people out there, but not everybody is a fit for where they are. And if you coming into my culture, and I say my culture,
that's right,
because my company has been started by my father, who was a civil rights pioneer.
Yes.
And we understand people, and we've always run our company to treat our people like family. And if you can't come in and treat my family with respect, you might be the most qualified engineer there. And I can tell in an interview, if you're coming in with that ego and you're coming in with a spirit that doesn't say team, we're ready to get the job done no matter what it costs, I don't care how qualified you are, I'm not gonna hire you.
Let me tell you something. Great companies are slow to hire, quick to fire.
That's right.
And so when you say that, it makes me remember, I shouldn't just take the bright-eyed, bushy tail. I got to do some due diligence and dig a little bit better, because Absolutely. It makes the conversation very hard when you've invested in them and et cetera,
And the longevity of that employee with the company.
And you know what? You can't fix everybody.
No, you can't.
You can't fix everybody. Okay, let's talk about that. You mentioned your dad. He was an amazing man, right?
Yes, sir.
And he founded this company.
Yes.
Do you know that only 30% of businesses make the baton pass from first generation to second?
I didn't realize the number.
From second to third is 12%.
Wow.
And from third generation on, it's 2%.
Wow.
And so you've already done something that's significantly hard, and I got to give you your flowers and commend you for that.
I appreciate that.
So you have a company, you have heritage, you have history, you have a vested interest in the game. What's next when it comes to how do you improve on being able to offer more, do more? You said AI is not necessarily an enemy, but it's not the best friend.
Right.
What new skill sets can you offer?
So for us, we've started breaking into outreach services for utility companies. It's like trying to figure out where's the funding, because in my industry, you follow the money.
Okay.
And my pipeline in my business development funnel depends on where the money is coming down. So right now you see it in Meta, data centers. Data centers are what everybody is doing. When data centers come around, power plants come around.
There's one in Shreveport, right?
There's one in Shreveport. It's a town in Louisiana I had never even known about until a little while ago. And so you see those types of things coming down. So we're trying to get access to that. One difficult part for companies like mine, though, for service companies and architecture companies, civil engineering companies in this industry, is that everybody has a big splash saying, come to our open house. We're going to show you what trades we have out there. And they come down here with pre-bottled up engineering and architecture companies, and they're acting like things are more open than they are. And so these companies, these large companies, have a predisposition a lot of times to only look for diverse suppliers and companies on the construction side. They don't think about companies that look like you and I, or woman-owned companies a whole lot on the private sector side when we're talking about technical work, highly technical work. And I always say, I run a damn good engineering firm.
Yeah.
We have damn good engineers. I mean, some of the most talented engineers in the United States that I've seen do incredible things. We just so happen to be a minority-owned company.
So let's look at that. So you're not business to consumer. You're business to business. You're more so government to. You're mostly a government contractor kind of business.
Mostly B2B.
So do you feel like the government is making a conscious effort to invest in whatever plans and processes that are out? Because the reason I say that is because, I feel like we need what it is that you offer, but the government has to be responsible for it.
Absolutely. So there's always a need for it. It depends on how much they're going to be spending and how much they want to do that. One problem we all have in business, right, is, especially in the state of Louisiana, but otherwise, is the government agencies and the vendors aren't paying any more than they did 25 years ago, but our insurance is higher, our risk is higher, all these different overhead costs that we have to deal with, and that is what it is. Business is what it is. We're going to be resilient. We're always going to keep going. Yes, there is an important push in government to obtain more services in order to be able to build things. But when that funding slows down, it's affecting communities poorly.
Of course.
Right? It's affecting the people that work for the government poorly because now there's not as much for them to do, so there's downturn there. One good thing that there was under the last presidential administration, is under Biden and the administrations before him, Obama, even under some of the Republicans, right? There was always a push that we need to get more money into the private sector. We need to purchase things. We know that when money is funding through communities, that's how jobs are created. Yes. That's how things get moving. Now, there's a metric that's 2% or 3% of all gross receipts go to small businesses in the United States, period.
That's not even funny.
Less than that to women, right? And everybody's like, why can't we move the needle? Why can't we move the needle? Well, you can rah. You can have all these different open houses. You can talk the talk. The only way to walk the walk, to move the needle from that 3%, 2% number, and to increase the amount of work that goes to businesses like ours, is to pay attention to the selection panels and the gatekeepers that are assigned to selecting those firms.
So that makes me think, like, if we're only getting 2% actual investment into small firms being able to do work, the 98%. So if the country isn't moving like we want it to, if it doesn't look like we want it to, it doesn't operate the way that we want it to, then why can't we make those numbers move?
Exactly, because it's not like we're not starting the businesses. We're starting the businesses at faster rates. Black women are starting businesses at probably the fastest rates that there are.
Yes, astronomical.
We do the work. We have the past performance. So why is it that we can't get past it? Because the gatekeepers have only looked a certain way for a very long time, or the gatekeepers have looked any type of way but have only been in one mindset for a long time. So if you wonder why the needle isn't moving and you've been having the same people making those selections for the past 25 years and handing people behind them, their predecessors, to be able to be the next gatekeepers, then maybe the gatekeepers are a little bit of the problem. Because I know my qualifications are there.
Okay, so is it a glass ceiling situation, or is it just a lack of opportunity situation?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Yeah. Well, who can we make some noise to? Because I'm ready to call somebody right goddamn now.
I tell you what matters is electing people that understand where the bottlenecks are. Electing people that understand where there are inherent biases, and everybody has them. Everybody has them.
We traditionally want to do business with people that maybe look like us, feel like us, talk like us, and think like us.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing. If you have only culturally been surrounded by a homogenous way, or maybe you've had peppered friends and relationships of different cultures, you need more than that.
Yeah.
Right? And not only that, if you are somebody that's only lived in one homogenous world, in one homogenous community, and not been exposed to that, and now you're in charge of millions of dollars of a project that you know your job is at risk if you don't get it done. So that means you're only trusting one type of person because you've never had the opportunity maybe in your life to learn how to build a relationship and trust other folks that may not look, sound, talk, walk like you.
So let me ask you a question. If it becomes a situation where you're looking for the best work to be done, then we can't be playing, nepotism games.
If I want the best product, if I want the best work product, this is why I believe my company is so good. I want diverse viewpoints around the table. You never know what someone else came from. You never know a culture where somebody else has seen infrastructure problems that existed because of how something happened. There's been people in, there was a project in Jefferson Parish one time. They were building a performing arts center. Mm-hmm. And they chose the same good old boy firm that had the relationship but not necessarily the qualifications. They go to design it, and there's a stage in the front, and there's 5 columns blocking rows and rows of seats. There wasn't even a concession stand that they designed. They forgot to design a concession stand in the Performing Arts Center. And so all I'm saying is if they had more diverse viewpoints around the table in the very rudimentary phases of it, they got all the way to design. Isn't that crazy?
Construction.
In construction. And I'm just saying, when you close off a table, when you don't open a table to have the most diverse viewpoints at the table, you are hurting your own project.
Okay. So we already know that politicians don't make decisions quickly because you got to vote. It's the people's business.
Yeah,
you got checks and balances. All the different departments.
Well, they used to federally, but we don't.
Well, yeah. I'm saying that in theory.
Yeah.
So if they don't make decisions quickly, then how can we ever get anything done? And so here comes the engineering slowdown because obviously nothing's getting funded, nothing's getting executed, nothing's getting done. And so that makes you feel like, we're never going to move as a city, as a community, as a state, as a country, if we can't get past the door.
Absolutely. If they're not funding engineering, if they're not funding architecture, nothing's getting built. How are you going to build it if we don't design it?
See, this is why you get so much more done in private practice than you do in public.
Yep.
Because once I get a little bit of permitting process done, if you try to stop me, I'm coming for you.
Yep.
Okay, and I got the money, I'm ready, let's go. Mm-hmm. I can go ahead and get it designed, you can get it all ready to go, and we can break ground and get something done. But boy, if you ask the government to do it, it'll take 2 years longer, huh?
It takes a long, long, long time.
See, because I have ADHD, I could never go through that process. I could never ever sit still and wait on the paint to dry.
I understand. And then not only that, you're waiting on it to get started. You're waiting on it to, okay, we're going to design. The worst part is waiting to get paid when you've done the work.
Don't say that.
A year and a half before, or 90 days is a dream, Net 90, I'll take it.
Now we understand this very basic principle of business.
Yeah.
If you're going to do business in private practice, you 9 times out of 10 can get paid quicker than in government practice, because it just takes so much red tape, so many different steps, so many people have to touch the check before it gets all the way down to the bottom,
Absolutely.
et cetera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to do business with government. Thank you very much for educating me on that. So tell me about the DBE designation. Exactly what is it and how does it work? And do you find it to be impactful?
So, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Certification. It is something that there's a local level of it. There's no state certification in Louisiana, but there's a federal certification called 8A, small business, or there's woman-owned small business as a moniker. You have to certify for it. You have to prove. Lord, as a DBE, we have to give everybody everything but your firstborn and a little bit of blood, okay? And we have to continue to be able to show that over and over again. We have to recertify that over and over again, which is a full-time job, by the way. So
You're saying the paperwork to DBE
the paperwork that we have to give up, and we have to show every single thing that large businesses, some of them have to show some of that sometimes, but we have to prove over and over again who we are, what we own, who's behind the business. I mean, you wouldn't believe, but it's worth it if you get through it, because when these programs are run the right way, they do give the opportunity to get into the arena, right? It's not a ticket. It's not a seat at the. It's not. It doesn't put you on a playing field. It gets you into the arena to say, here's what the game is going on. I'm eligible to play now. It helps you get a foot in the door where you otherwise might not have.
Do you feel that it is helpful in the grand scheme of things?
I think that is more helpful than hurtful. I think that these programs, they really do exist because of the inequities in this country and because of things like Jim Crow that set minorities behind. We are behind, generation behind. And so we can't just speed up overnight. We don't have generational money in our communities that goes from 5 generations back.
I speak to the confidence of what a person that comes from a winning heritage, how offense is played versus playing defense. I personally have been playing defense my whole career, and I've had to be better. I've had to be sharper and good at what I do to a degree, to the point to where even as the best in sometimes, I didn't feel like it was good enough because I had a little bit of a disadvantage, as they say, right?
Absolutely.
But remember, the disadvantages can become the advantages.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's kind of tough.
You know what I always say? It's like it's easy to knock it out the park when you're always constantly underestimated.
Yeah, and remember, if they don't see you coming, then you know what? They can't stop you.
Yeah,
I get all that,
yeah.
but I'm ready to speak to the people who say, why is that even necessary?
Yeah.
At this point,
Yeah.
2025, if you're fielding a basketball team, a baseball team, or a football team, I don't care what color you are. Can you run the ball? Can you shoot?
Exactly.
Can you call the right play? Can you blow the whistle on time? I want to win. And I don't want to win so much to where I'm going to hold somebody else back because I'm having some lack of self-confidence issues.
Absolutely.
You know who does that? People who are untalented. I want you to know something. I don't cheat because it's disrespectful to the amount of hard work that I'm willing to do. I have natural discipline. So to all the people who are gatekeepers, who are haters on the slick, your ass ain't got no talent and you're not good at nothing, and that's why y'all here bottlenecking.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, all right. So
Somebody had to say it.
I said, and you know what? I hope it goes viral that if you're a gatekeeper and you're not helping and you're hurting and you're a hater because you have a job as a hater, then you know what? Go kick rocks with no shoes on a wet beach, and I hope it's raining outside.
I heard that.
So what would you say is the biggest hurdle right now?
Biggest hurdle right now depends on what sector you're talking about. Locally, funding is a problem.
Yeah.
Federally, funding is a problem.
So I would say that the biggest hurdle is actually the funding.
Funding
And so
is a problem.
is that the economic czar? the Department of Commerce, or is it, interior designs? I mean, which department is the department that is responsible for, watch this, moving the country forward? Because we know we got millions of bridges that need to get redone. We know we have, big barges that can't get out of ports and stuff. That's what engineering does, right?
Leadership starts from the top.
I'm going to run for the job. Tell me where I got to go.
I need you to run for a few spots.
Oh, listen, it's actually sad at this point, because that's what I'm saying. It's so embarrassing if we have needs.
Absolutely.
We even have money.
Yeah.
But we don't have somebody that's really driving the ship and helping to improve things on a local, state, and federal level.
And especially on the federal level, we have somebody that doesn't understand what makes the United States go. Right? When the federal government spends money, and it's putting money in communities, and it's building things, and it's keeping things going, that creates jobs, it creates economies, it creates economic development. And so, but if you don't understand it and you think everybody's constantly trying to dupe us and all this ridiculous things that aren't, the problem is we're not speaking and we're not making decisions based on facts, data, science, common sense. Right? And so if we're not working from that world, I don't understand the world we're working from.
Yeah, that makes you feel like you're disconnected and you don't really understand. So listen, I drove past my old junior high school a couple weeks ago, and I looked at it. It looked like a warehouse. There were no windows, had us up in there in the whole dark, and couldn't look outside. So please tell me, if you do a school, you'd have windows, right?
Yeah, I would put some windows in the school.
Okay, so that's just a part of how we should be getting better.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming, obviously, if you're building schools now, that you would do that. And so that's what you guys do. You continue to improve and you make life better. And you're not just doing bridges and safety and circulatory and neurotic services for all of the cities and stuff. We're making cities better. Have you ever been to Dubai? Let me just tell you. They may have some problems, but their buildings are shinier, they're bigger, they're more efficient, they're operating better. And you know what? As a country, we got to get our shit together.
Yeah, we do. We really do. And everybody in New Orleans is like, why do we always have potholes? This and well, first of all, we live in a swamp. We live in a bowl. We live in a hot, sweaty bowl swamp. And because of that, we need more funding than most cities when it comes to maintaining our roads. It's not just about building them, it's about maintaining them. And so when people understand the lack of funding that really exists in the city of New Orleans for the things that we need most, and people are gonna say, how can you say that? When voters come up, or when voters say no to every single millage that comes around, I understand. I don't want to pay more for services we're not getting right now. Well, historically, they have not gotten the services.
Exactly. Then why would they want to vote yes?
I completely understand that. And I completely understand that frustration. I have that same frustration. I've lived here my whole life, and I love this city as shitty as it can be. I love the good, the bad, all of it, and I accept it. But I'm going to say this is, I think that our people in power have not put out the proper information in the most digestible format to understand where each tax dollar goes and where it goes. And our people need to be able to take on and digest that information to understand what's going where and where is it working and where is it not, because that also helps you with voting. It also helps you care more about who is the lead at certain agencies and what are they doing to make your life better in those realms. What are those leaders, what decisions are those leaders making that impact your everyday life, and how are we holding them to account?
And I don't think that we all, as intelligent, educated voters, know exactly what that looks like.
True.
So I think that there's a disconnect between the policy, the politics, and the people.
Yeah.
And so if we can, re-engage that and try to have a better conversation about it, maybe we can do something. Now, do you feel like the city's health is, and speaking New Orleans, do you feel like the city's health, are we behind, or are we on schedule? Where are we when it comes from engineering? Because yes, we struggle with potholes, and I can't drive my Porsche around New Orleans with them potholes.
Yes,
and so are we using the right tar? Because, you go to Texas and the streets are so hard out there, you can fall down and die.
Up, right?
You can fall down and die.
So there's different mixes, and there's different, concrete mix, asphalt mix, all these types of things. But also, the ability for the city to be able to get as much done as they need to get done means that they can't always use the best mix for what they have on every single street. So if you
That's not acceptable.
It's not. So if you know that this mix might allow for, and keep in mind, I'm not an engineer, but I know enough to be dangerous, and I work with them every day, right? If you have a formula where maybe the longevity, it might make the longevity of the street better and last longer, that is a more expensive mix. So if you have 2,000 miles of roadway you need to get done, and that type of mix will only allow you to get 100 miles done, then you're going to have to change up what you're going to have to do in order to get things moving. Here's the other thing, maintenance.
Okay.
It costs money to maintain.
Well, it costs money to keep redoing it, and it ain't working.
Yeah, but it's a lot better when you can maintain it. So where has our money come from for the last, I'd say, 10 years?
Okay.
On trying to get things done. And when a storm comes through, right, and this is what I'm scared about right now the most, right? Storm comes through, FEMA comes back, but FEMA only puts things back to how they were.
Oh, so that's how that works. Path of least resistance, do the least.
They only put it back to how they were. And there are certain times where they say, okay, well, this is so bad, we're going to have to come back and completely redo this. And that happened a lot. But now you're dealing with, and that was FEMA under the Biden administration and a couple of others, okay? Now you're dealing with a leader at the top. Again, leadership starts at the top. That is denying even red states. You saw the floods that went through Arkansas and all these other places and devastated towns. We pay tax dollars to FEMA to help us when we need it the most.
Okay.
And this president is allowing even his own people, his red state people, that apply for the emergency, hey, we need help now, we need the federal government to come to our aid, and is denying them. So I've been telling my people and telling everybody that I love, if a storm comes through New Orleans tomorrow, y'all better be squirreling away a little bit of money, because I don't know what resources are going to be there to help us, especially small business owners. Are the SBA loans going to be, the emergency SBA loans going to be available? Is emergency food stamp money from the federal government going to be available?
I'm moving. Let me tell you why.
Because we know it's not if, it's when, right?
Let me tell you why. The reason I'm moving is because good fences make good neighbors.
Yeah.
I do not get too far over my skis, as they used to say.
Yeah.
I don't be out here trying to, iron chest and impress nobody. I'm not doing none of that.
Yeah.
Listen to me. Business is war, and surviving is a part of being a business owner, a proprietor. Now, if you're an employee and you're at the mercy of a government entity that you've been working for 40 years, okay, well, you got a different story than me. Right. But I have my own life in my own hands. Mm-hmm. And I'm only saying that to say, to the state, to the city, if you need more money, go make it. Yeah. You know what? Charge your citizens. Every festival, we have more festivals here than anywhere in the world.
True.
We're the northernmost Caribbean city in the United States of America, and culturally, we're the most fun. But what are we doing with the money?
Right.
I heard we have a $1.8 billion budget for the city of New Orleans, annual. But that's a lot of money.
And I think I've heard numbers from 33 million deficit to I've heard $63 million deficit.
How you have a deficit and we got a festival every weekend? Are people just not paying taxes? Help me understand, because they getting my money.
We've had some issues, but we've had some issues in the past year, from the terrorist attack to a lot of things, and there's been some challenges. But there's always challenges.
There's always challenges. But again, I'm gonna say it again. Don't just ask for the job, deserve it.
Real.
Okay? And do something when you get in office, and be transparent about it.
Absolutely.
And listen, if you give your friend a contract for some cameras, can he please put the cameras up?
Right. Or the policy that's needed in order to,
we're talking about, at this point right now, we're talking about the basics, 101, first class of college for business. Just do the job.
Yeah.
And we're not asking you for anything other than a level of proficiency, if you're going to call yourself that. And that's why I said, if something happens, I'm leaving. And the reason I'm leaving is because I've been doing my due diligence. I've done my work. Mm-hmm. And I mastered my craft. And that's a part of the business is worth conversation.
And you know what? And that's the scariest part about this city that we love so much. What is it going to look like in another 5 years? I didn't know this, but we're the 5th fastest city where people are leaving in the United States. People are leaving at the 5th fastest rate out of New Orleans and moving somewhere else. So that means we have an economic development problem.
Yes.
We have a jobs problem.
We have an identity problem.
We have an identity problem. We have a housing problem. We have all these issues, the most basic necessities needed to be able to sustain your family and to be able to do what you need in New Orleans. And I am scared for our city right now.
Yes. Well, here's my message to the city leaders and leadership. If you can't do it, get you some help. Seek the counsel of wise men. Don't take the job if you're not going to improve the situation. And at this point in this dire situation right now, it's very easy to do more than what we've already had.
Absolutely. What we need is leaders that understand how to listen and how to bring the right people in the room. And ego can't be a part of it.
No.
There's no room for ego in leadership in New Orleans right now at all.
No.
We need the smartest people at the table, the brightest minds at the table that understand also how to invite not to the detriment of our people, of our citizens who have gone through the most here. And I mean the people born here, raised here, stayed here, people that come here, been here 15, 20 years. We need every single person that's here. But we also need to understand as a city that we need more down here. And we're going to have to do something different.
Yeah.
We can't buck every single trend. Right now, we need help.
Yes,
we need economic development. And we can't say no to every single opportunity that comes.
Do you think that happens, that we say no a lot?
I think that we hate change in New Orleans. And I get it. I don't want to see my culture change. I don't want to see my city change into something that it's not. We have more culture in one block here in New Orleans than most cities have in their entire area.
The reason being is because you can take that one, well, let me say that. You can go to any city in the country and see a block. And find that same block in every city, in every country.
Right.
But here, we're uniquely different in every possible way.
Absolutely.
But I will say that that's a really challenging situation right now. And New Orleans is in a real tough spot.
It is. It's tough because we want to, and the thing that makes New Orleans culture what it is the people. Our people are what make this city the greatest city on earth. But we have to also find ways to invite economic development in whatever ways that can happen, which means we're going to have to also invite some other people, industries to the table. And we're going to have to find ways to not always say no to something. I think we have a very collective voices that always say no, but we have to find ways to get more creative to say yes in order to have our city sustain in the way that we want it to be here.
I don't know if it's going to happen. And the reason I say that is because, and I'm not Debbie Downer.
No, this is real conversation. It's tough.
Or Miserable Malcolm or something like that. I'm gonna come up with something. Give me a minute.
That's hilarious.
But I don't know because, if you think about the word change and you think about adjustment, the human being seeks to find a routine in everything that we do. That's why we drink our coffee the same way every day. That's why we put our shoes on the same way every evening or whatever. We do the same thing over and over again because it makes us more proficient and efficient. Mm-hmm. Okay, but then you look at the city of New Orleans and you're saying, hey, what's not working is not working. It hasn't not been working.
That we've still been doing the same way over and over again, right? And it's also, as much as routine is great and strong and helps us to be what it is, it can also be insanity.
See, I'm a businessman and you run an engineering firm, and we're both at the mercy of our city in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And so we both are asking for our city to do more for us, and we want to do more for it.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that marriage is in jeopardy right now.
It's a dysfunctional marriage, ain't it?
Yeah. Well, I don't believe in divorce, but we got to do something. We got to come to the table and have a conversation, right?
We got to, yeah.
See, this is why prenup is always important, So let me ask you a question. What does a normal day for you in engineering look like?
Let's see. It depends on what I'm chasing, right? What job am I chasing? And sometimes not even about chasing the job. Sometimes it's about finding partnership, finding ways to build a team to go after an opportunity, finding ways to get with that team. And again, it's about following funding streams. It's about building relationships. It's about people understanding current clients and potential new clients, understanding how we can be of value to them. And so I would say that my main job is finding ways to communicate our value to government agencies, to department heads, to decision makers, to the gatekeepers, to potential partners, and to the communities that we want to serve.
Listen, that's beautiful. I think that you're doing God's work. I think you're using the math brains out there at your disposal. I like that, because let's see, I don't have an entertainment brand. I don't know what kind of.
I have a word brand. Listen, I can do words. I can build a speech. I can talk, but math.
I can't do it.
I know my weaknesses. Okay?
I can't do it.
I know my weaknesses.
Yeah. So guess what? The calculator crippled me.
Yeah.
Because I will use the calculator. I'm not even I'm not doing it. You know what? I struggle with tips. You know what I do? I just write big round numbers.
I'm always double checking on the phone because God forbid we walk out of somewhere and short somebody I couldn't even live with myself. So I'm gonna use that.
Tell my audience how they can find you and how they can support you.
Absolutely. So I appreciate that. While my company is domiciled here in New Orleans, we go after work anywhere that we can where we feel that we can be of value. We want to touch communities all over the United States. We've even done projects in Peru by way of the federal government. If they want to get in touch with us, I would say reach out to me or my company, corporate@ilsiengineering.com. That's ILSI engineering.com. My email address is my first and last name, IAMTUCKER @ILSIengineering.com. It's very long. I am Tucker at ilsiengineering.com, but you can always pick up the phone and call us. We are right on Elysian Fields. We work in Baton Rouge. We have offices in other places, but I say pick up the phone and call us. We're always willing to sit down and have a conversation. You never know who can help you get anywhere, and no one gets anywhere alone.
That's true. Well, I want you to know something. I'm going to make an investment in this city. I don't know what it's going to look like, but you're going to be the engineering firm that we're going to use.
I'm going to be right there with you.
Yeah, can I get a discount? See what I'm saying? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, business is war, and I've had the pleasure of speaking in a space that I'm not very comfortable with, but I thank you for taking your time with me today.
Thank you.
I want you to support. I want you to look it up. I'm going to put it into the information that we can circle back and talk about it. But more importantly, you keep doing the good work. I support you. I commend you. Thank you for taking that baton pass from your father, because that second generation is so important that families continue that. I was just going to tell you, if your last name was Baker, guess what? You were a bread baker. If your last name was Fisher, you were a fisherman.
Yeah.
And so for you to take your dad's legacy and do something with it, I salute you.
Thank you, sir.
Business is war. My name is Elliott Forman. This is Iam Tucker, and we'll see you on the other side.